Well, well, well. Without a crystal ball, Katie Joy is at it again. On Christmas night, she went on this ridiculous, self centered, black and white thinking tirade on Instagram. Um, Now, I wanted to jump on the bandwagon here because I did see it on the subreddit, the Without a Crystal Ball subreddit, and I decided to go to Instagram to check it out myself. And this is pretty disgusting. So I'm going to read out her Instagram posts. The picture here is just with Jill's book and Jill being reunited with her family. And she writes, "Don't write a book and then go to the home of your abuser." Of course, the perfect line for a victim blamer. And Katie Joy, without a crystal ball, is a disgusting victim blaming bitch. What a gutter ball move. Seriously. So she writes here in her description, caption, whatever. Jim Bob Duggar is an abusive narcissist that protects pedos and does not care about his children. His wife hands out rods and whips to friends as gifts for their friends to use. Do not write a book about an abusive upbringing and abusive father and then go to the father's home for the holidays 3 months after the book release. This looks bad. Period. I don't care if people want contact with their family. An entire book was written calling Jim Bob abusive and accusing him of fraud, among other crimes. It's hard to take people seriously when they turn around and do this. Come for me, I don't care. But this will only fuel Jim Bob and the cult. This is why none of the Duggars can be trusted to truly remove themselves from the IBLP or help in any meaningful way in dismantling the cult. Jim Bob wins today because of this, and reunification with a cult leader is never a good option, even if they are your dad. They will never be free until they completely go no contact. Period. Jill and Derek said they were considering a restraining order against Jim Bob. Just remember that. It does not matter if you miss your siblings or want a relationship. There is no possible healthy relationship with Jim Bob. And he literally just paid for Josh's attorneys to file a motion to the Supreme Court. He is still trying to free Jill's abuser. I will judge public figures. Save the comments or get blocked. Your choice. Also, I do understand abuse, and I'm completely no contact with my family, meaning no contact. Nothing, even on the holidays. It's not complicated. She cannot save anyone but herself, and continuously engaging with them won't change any of their minds. People don't leave cults because they are saved by someone. They have to want to leave. I don't have to have a degree in psychology to share my opinions and report on a cult, which I'm extremely knowledgeable in. Well, what a bunch of dumb fuckery. First of all, okay, she does mention some truths about Jim Bob. No doubt about it. I will agree. I think Jim Bob is a piece of shit. I think he's exploited his children. I think he's damaged his children in many ways. He's damaged his relationship among his children with each other. And he's done a lot of shitty things, he and Michelle, and especially the enablement of the abuse. That's clear from an outsider's point of view. Now, that's just my point of view. The problem I have with this is not not the part where she's talking about those truths. It's about victim blaming Jill for wanting to participate in a family event, Jill and Derek could still be considering a restraining order. There could have been one already. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever is the case, this is Jill's trauma to work through, not yours, Katie Joy. You don't get to tell the whole fucking world, okay, how they have to navigate their trauma. It is not your responsibility. Yes, family relationships are extremely complicated. And if you look at Jill's family, it's a large family with a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of people in it. It's not that simple. Okay? There is a lot of history between Jill and her family. I'm sure she wants to see her siblings. I'm sure she wants to see her nieces and nephews. I'm sure she wants her kids to have some kind of a normal life. And I think that if boundaries are respected to some extent, it could work. I don't know. They might be in therapy to work through this. Okay? I mean, if it were me, no. I would not be around an enabler. But I'm not Jill. I don't, if her parents are showing up in therapy with Jill, that is a huge fucking step because there are a lot of parents who don't do that. Now, it could be manipulation by Jim Bob because Jim Bob himself, he may be the cult, he may be the center of it, but he's also a delusional old man. And his priorities are off. But Jill might be seeing something about this relationship, about her family, that you and I can possibly not know. So why are you victim blaming Jill? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. The very first, your caption, okay, blames Jill. You put the burden on you put the burden of Jim Bob's behavior and outcome and everything on Jill. That's not Jill's responsibility. It's her father's responsibility to grow up and accept responsibility for his actions in that family. That's not up to Jill. If Jill wants to participate in Christmas with her family, so what? So what? Okay? She might come to disappointment down the road. It might have been a bad move for her. She might realize it later. It could also mean that it's a pivot in the right direction, that she stands her ground, and that she can have healthy boundaries and still have some semblance of an extended family life. 'Cause it's really, really very hard not to be connected with family is out there. It is a very painful experience. Okay? I know this pain. I understand why she would want to have that and why she would want that for her kids. Josh isn't there to hurt anybody anymore. He's in prison. It's unlikely he'll be out of prison before his term is up. That is something Jim Bob has to face because he helped contribute to that. He helped contribute by enabling that and not getting Josh the help he needed a long time ago and get him the hell out of that house for good to make that separation. He did a lot of bad things that put the other kids in danger. But I don't blame Jill for that. I blame Jim Bob and Michelle. I blame them both. Okay? And it must be hard when you have a kid who's a deviant. But they could have done the right thing the proper way, and that would have been long-term treatment, because that's what Josh needs. And I seriously doubt Josh is even going to get that much that he needs, it even in prison. But I don't know what kind of therapy stuff that they have. But you blame Jill for that. That's not Jill's fault. There was another stupid thing you said here. Jill was perfectly well within her right to write a book about that. She is a child of abuse and neglect, and she had every right to write a book to work through that. And fuck Jim Bob if he doesn't like it. I agree. That doesn't mean she still can't work on her relationships with her other family members or even her father. We don't know. We don't know because we're not in that house seeing what's going on. Again, this is something Jill has to navigate on her own. This is something that she's going to have to make conclusions about. And the path to healing, the path to understanding any kind of separation is not easy. I detonated a relationship with the only parent I had left, and I had a very distant and complicated relationship with them. But they showed their true colors again because they don't learn. That's not my problem. I did my best, and I said to myself, fuck it, it's not worth it. I'm not getting maligned and this nonsense anymore. And I still have a great amount of empathy because my father's delusional. My father has issues. But I'm not going to be continue to be belittled and put down and made to feel like that I'm nothing all over again. I'm 50 years old. I've done it enough. But that was a process I had to go through. But that was my own process, and that was my own decision. Okay, like your decision was to break off your relationship with your parents. Now, it's hard to believe you on anything because you've lied so much about your family, but I do understand that there was a lot of, you may not have known whether you were coming or going, so there was a lot of complication there because there were probably moments of love and care. And there were other moments of being thrown aside. And that can be very confusing for a child. Now, that I believe might be something that you had experienced. And I have empathy for that. So you go back to the book. An entire book was written calling JB abusive and accusing him of fraud, among other crimes. Well, I didn't read the book, but if those were the claims, she's fucking right. Jill is right. And she has every right to write that with the facts and experience on her side. That's not for you to decide to write. Are you just pissed off because she wrote a book? Probably. Because all you do is write crap all fucking day on your Instagram and on YouTube. What have you contributed? When are you writing your book? It's hard to take people seriously when they turn around and do this. Maybe. But it's not up to you at the end of the day. No one gives a fuck whether you take them seriously or not. You don't speak for me, and you don't speak for anybody else. You don't know what's going on. This is why none of the Duggars can truly be trusted to remove themselves from the IBLP or help in any meaningful way in dismantling. So it's Jill's responsibility to dismantle a cult. It's Jill's responsibility to take care of herself and her family first, which she has done. Amazingly, given all of the shit that woman's been. You've given her fuck all credit for that. Jim Bob wins today because of this, and reunification with a cult leader is never a good option, even if you're dead. Jim Bob wins nothing. He's sunk money into a son with serious psychological and criminal problems. He nearly lost his daughter through his own behavior. That could still happen if they're working on something they can't work it out. Jim Bob is headed for a world of hurt. You think he's this untouchable person. Jim Bob is just a man. Yeah, he wields some level of power. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, these people don't last long. They crumble. They crumble. And this thing with his son is probably the thing that's going to destroy him financially, and that would be and morally, that that would be the thing that destroys Jim Bob. And it's a shame, because you would figure he'd care more about his daughters, and in my opinion he doesn't. But maybe he's in therapy I'm assuming he's in therapy. They're all in therapy together. If he's doing that much, okay, that's more than what a lot of parents like that do for their kids. And that's saying something. All right, let's go back. Then you make this about yourself. Come for me. I don't care. This was early on in the thing, in the post. I don't care, but this will only fuel Jim Bob and the cult. Listen, you can block me all you want from your Instagram. I don't give a shit. I will take from your Instagram what I think needs to be addressed and stated in my own video. There's fuck all you can do about it. Jim Bob Duggar doesn't even know I'm alive and doesn't even care. So no, nothing I say or do or what against you is going to fuel him. That makes no sense at all. This isn't about you, Katie. I don't care if people want contact with their family. Well, nobody cares about what you think about that. Okay? You don't get to decide who makes contact with whom. You are responsible for yourself and for yourself only, and how you conduct your relationships with your own family. And if you feel that detonating a relationship with your parents after trying so much, or you're angry, whatever, fine, that's your right to do, and no one's going to blame you, and no one's going to shame you for your grieving process. But I will tell you, you are a habitual liar. You are a habitual liar, and you have a habit of maligning people, and it's hard to believe you. But I do have a lot of empathy if that is what you've gone through, because I know it's very painful. But you can't control what the world does from that, because the world isn't the world isn't the world is different. People's experiences in the world are different. You can't look at your experience and expect everybody to live like you do. It's not possible, if that makes sense. So then she said, Jill and Derek said that they were considering a restraining order against Jim Bob. Just remember that. Good. I'm glad. If they're still considering it. Consideration doesn't mean they made a decision. Doesn't mean that they actually did it, as far as I'm concerned. It's considering. Considering. That doesn't mean anything other than that. Does not matter if you miss your siblings or want a relationship. Well, it does. To Jill, it does. What you think is of no consequence to her. There's no possible healthy relation with Jim Bob, and he literally just paid for Josh's blah, 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 blah. There may not be a possibility, but that's not up for you to decide. That's up to Jill to decide. Then you go on. This is all about you, and you're being pissed off because people don't think the way you do in your black and white world of bullshit. I will judge public figures. Save your comments or get blocked. Your choice. Also, I do understand abuse, and I'm completely no contact my family. That is your decision. That is your choice. No one's blaming you for that. That is your choice. You can block all you want. If you understand abuse, that's fine. A lot of us understand abuse because a lot of us have been abused by our parents. Emotionally, socially, mentally, psychologically, sexually, you name it. But it still creates a lot of confusion when there aren't always clear boundaries. And you have to understand sometimes it's not a matter of just cutting people off. Maybe there is a chance to heal. Maybe this visit isn't about Jim Bob. It was about Jill being with the people she loves. Maybe she does love her dad, but maybe that's not her sole purpose, is to go there to reconnect her father, to be attached to this organization. Of course, you're not going to think that way. And you don't understand what cults are about. You don't understand how it is for people to leave cults on and still carry whatever shame that they were shamed for, and maybe there was an experience in a cult where they felt like they belonged. They felt like, wow, there are people that actually believe in me or whatever, or people have felt isolated in them. There's so many things. I don't even understand it because I have not been a part of a cult. There are things that I experience that are kind of adjacent to that, but I don't know what it's like to be in a cult. Neither do you. Let's see. It's not complicated. It is complicated. And Jill has saved herself. She has saved herself by being herself, by standing up to her father, by writing a book about her experiences in a very public way, facing public scrutiny and judgment, because there are a lot of people, especially some of your subscribers, who are out there already victim blaming her. All the judgment, I'm sure. I'm sure she's going to get harassment from all ends, because people who think they know better than her, people they think they know what's best for her, people on our side of the fence who think that way, which is utter and complete nonsense. If anything, you should have great empathy and support for her. And even if this doesn't work out, whatever it is she's trying to do, okay, if it doesn't work out, she's working through her trauma right now. And that's a very brave, powerful, courageous thing. You should be singing her praises. You should be supporting her, uplifting her. Okay? Not shaming her because she doesn't do what you want her to do. Doesn't matter what you fucking want. It's what's best for her. And victim blaming is the most despicable, shitty thing you can do to another human being. And I'm so tired of you, Katie Joy. You should just shut your fucking mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. Unbelievable. Unfucking believable what you've done in this post. I don't need to have a degree in psychology to share my opinion and report on a cult. You weren't reporting on a cult. There was no information about cults in your post. What you did was victim blame Jill Duggar. And as far as I'm concerned, that extended to all the Duggar girls there, because she wasn't the only girl impacted. Again, you made this woman responsible for Jim Bob's poor choices, which is very sexist. It's disgusting. It's antithetical to anything that you think that you believe in as a liberal, whatever the fuck you are. Feminist, whatever. Just a performative pile of shit, in my opinion. Nobody cares. Um, Nobody cares if you have a degree in psychology. Nobody does. People can express their experiences and work through their trauma without a psychology degree. Um, and I don't know. Your writing is so. I just don't understand your writing. You go from one point to another. You're trying to convince us you're extremely knowledgeable in cults. Well, if you did that, this wouldn't have been a matter about Jill having power over her own trauma and navigating that in the way that she thinks. It would have been about cults. So you're full of shit. You're a fucking liar. Okay? You're a fucking sexist. You harass Jill this way, which is disgusting. She's going through a lot. Okay? You're a victim blaming piece of shit. And you have the goddamn audacity to sit on your high horse and tell everybody that everybody should live the way that you do. I'm going to tell you something, Katie. Go fuck yourself.